Krishnam Narayanam Vande Krishnam Vande Brajapriyam Krishnam Dvaipayanam Vande Krishnam Vande Pradasutam Satchidananda Rupaya Vishwotpatti Hetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Krishnaya Vayam Namaha Yaswanubhavam Akila Shruti Saramekam Adhyatmadipam Atititishatam Tamondam Samsarinam Karunayaha Purana Guhyam Tam Vyasasonum Upayami Gurum Muninam Medire Bhagavadrupam Bhagavatam Kalau Patanat Shavanat Yuktaha Vaikuntha Paladhayakam Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Namam Lokavishrutam Shunuyad Shraddhaya Yuktaha Mama Santosha Karanam Nigamakalpatanur Galitam Phalam Shukamukat Amrtadrava Samyutam Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavukaha. It is indeed an overwhelming experience to be seated right here. Right at the place where Shukha Brahma engaged in a glorious conversation with Maharaja Parikshit. We must all count our blessings to be here and relish Śukha stuti, which is right at the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, Dvitiya Skanda. Bhagavatam, as we all know, is a nest of conversations. And it all starts with a Vichitra Krishna Sankalpa. Parikshit Maharaj, the illustrious grandson of the Pandavas. Parikshit, a very noble king, was hunting in the forest. And it so happened that he came across the ashrama of Shamika. Rishi Shamika was deep in meditation, contemplating on Narayana. And Parikshit Maharaj was very thirsty. And therefore, he entered the ashrama and approached Shamika Rishi and requested him for some water. But unfortunately, Shamika was under the vow of silence and therefore did not speak up, did not respond to Parikshit. Here is where we see a very important lesson. A moment of anger can lead to fatal consequences. All of us need to be always on guard. Even when we are on the spiritual path, we will be tested all the time. Just a single moment of anger, losing control on one's mind, giving in to unwanted distractions can lead to fatal consequences. Imagine Parikshit Maharaj, the illustrious noble king, who was known for his knowledge, who was known for his nobility, who was blessed by Krishna himself right before birth, and who took birth because of Krishna's grace. That Parikshit Maharaj, in a moment of anger, he was insulted, he felt insulted by Shamika Maharishi. Again, another lesson for us. We always make conclusions, and the conclusions that we make dictate our conduct and our behavior. Parikshit Maharaj, without understanding that Shamika Maharshi has taken a pledge of silence, concludes that Shamika is insulting him. And then he gets carried away and he looks around and he finds a dead snake right there, takes the dead snake and puts it around Shamika's neck and walks away in anger. This incident is then known to Shamika's son Shringi, who immediately curses Parikshit. He says, "May Parikshit die in 7 days, bitten by a poisonous snake, bitten by Taksha himself, the king of snakes." Now, Parikshit gets to know this curse, a remorseful Parikshit who recognizes his mistake. He accepts the curse. A remorseful Parikshit, accepting the curse, renounces the kingdom, settles down on the banks of river Ganga, right here in the sacred land. We are all sitting at a place where Parikshit Maharaj decided to renounce everything, knowing that death is imminent. He decides to sit down on the banks of Ganga and he starts to contemplate on Krishna. News spreads like wildfire. After all, Parikshit is a Maharaja. News spreads like wildfire that Parikshit is now about to die and is on the banks of Ganga. All the rishis, all spiritual masters, the whole kingdom, all the pious people gather around Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit prostrates to all the rishis and makes a request them to continue to chant the glories of Narayana so that he can divert his mind from the impending death and get absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. Parikshit Maharaj is seated right under this banyan tree. All the rishis, all the spiritual masters are singing the glories of Bhagavan. Imagine the serene atmosphere on the banks of Ganga under this very banyan tree, the chanting of Bhagavan's Nama going on and Parikshit trying to absorb into Krishna. It is at that time the illustrious Śukha walks in. Yaswanubhavam akila shrutisāramekam adhyatmadīpam atititishyatam tamondam samsārinām karunayāha purāna guhyam tam Vyasasunum upayami guru muninām. Vyasasunum, the son of Vyasa, Śukha Brahma. Even Vyasa is not celebrated as Vyasa Brahma. His son, 16-year-old son, Śukha, with all the tejas, Śukha Brahma walks. It seems his spiritual eminence was respected by one and all, and wherever he went, everyone used to stand automatically, respecting him. Such was his spiritual eminence. Even, it seems, Vyasa could not bear the separation of Śukha when he left. Vyasa himself was in grief because of separation of Śukha Brahma. That Śukha Brahma walks in. And as he walks in, Parikshit looks at Śukha and realizes how the curse has now turned into a blessing. He knows Śukha here is for a purpose. And as Śukha approaches Parikshit, Parikshit prostrates to Śukha and requests Śukha to be seated right under the banyan tree, and he worships Śukha. After worshipping him, Parikshit gently makes a request. Hey Śukha Brahman, I have only one request. What is that one must do in one's life? More importantly, what is that one must do in one's life, knowing that death is impending? What must one do in life, knowing that death is knocking at one's door? Interestingly, all our Shastras not only talk about how to live, they also talk about how to die. It is not only important to know how to live, it is more important to know how to die. Unfortunately, neither we do know how to live, nor we know how to die. Man leads a life living, hoping that he will never die. And he dies thinking that he has never lived enough. Bhagavatam, the key question, the driving question of Bhagavatam is how to lead a life, how to live, and more importantly, how to leave. How to live gracefully and leave gracefully. How to live in His grace and how to leave with His grace. Our disposition at the time of death determines our destination. Krishna declares in the Gita, Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram yat prayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra samshayaha yam yam vapi smaran bhavam yajatyante kalevaram tam tameveti konteya sada tadbhava bhavitaha tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhyacha. Hey Arjuna, sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhyacha. Our thoughts shape our actions, and our actions shape our destiny. Therefore, the thoughts that one has at the time of death determines one's journey beyond death. That is why Krishna recommends Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhyacha. The thought that is central to our life and living will be the thought at the time of death. And therefore, if we need to have the right disposition to contemplate on Krishna at the time of death, we need to necessarily practice contemplating on Krishna through our life and living. Life is a test, they say. Life is a test, no doubt. No, this is said in order to demonstrate that we have to face challenges with equanimity. But Bhagavatam takes this one step forward. Life is a test, no doubt. Life is a test, is only a preparatory test in order for us to face the test of death. We may ask, how can death be a test? Isn't death irrevocable? Is it a complete coming to a stop of everything? An irreversible state where all our hopes and aspirations come to an end? Not really, because death is only to this body. And we journey beyond death. And therefore, if we take our famous analogy of the car, the vehicle, death is a milestone where we end up changing cars. Death is a state of transition from one vehicle to another vehicle. The vehicle that we choose depends on our taste. Even in this very life, we go and purchase a vehicle, a car. The vehicle that we buy is based on our taste. And when we switch vehicles, it is our taste that determines the vehicle. Similarly, this body is a vehicle. And depending on the taste, our vasanas, our karma, the Jivatmas end up choosing the vehicles for journeying after death. Therefore, life is a test. It is a test of taste. It is a test of taste. Life is all about managing our taste, converting our taste. The highest reward is given to those who pass the test by contemplating on Krishna at the last moment of one's life. Therefore, life is a test of taste, and it is all about choosing Krishna. Taste for Krishna. Krishna Trishna, thirst for Krishna. The more we cultivate taste for Krishna, we pass the test of taste. Śukha, therefore, instructs Parikshit, and in the process of instructing Parikshit, Śukha makes a very important declaration. Etavan Sankhya Yogabhyam Swadharma Parinishthaya Janmalava Parah Pumsam Ante Narayana Smritihi. Very, very profound shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam. Śukha's declaration has to be repeatedly reflected upon. He says, Hey Parikshit, Etavan Sankhya Yogabhyam Swadharma Parinishthaya Janmalava Parah Pumsam Ante Narayana Smritihi. Etavan Sankhya Yogabhyam, acquisition of Tattva Jnana. Tattva Jnanat Moksha Labhat, says Shastras. In order for attaining moksha, Tattva Jnana becomes a prerequisite. Knowing the three tattvas, the Achit Tattva, the Chit Tattva, the Paramatma Tattva. Etavan Sankhya Yogabhyam Swadharma Parinishthaya. Acquisition of knowledge, doing one's duty, Swadharma, continuing to do. Janmalabha Parah Pumsam. Janmalabha Parah Pumsam, reaching that state of perfection life. He says, Śukha says, Hey Parikshit, acquisition of Tattva Jnana, continuing to perform Swadharma, doing all the sadhanas is only for one purpose, he says. Reaching that state of perfection, the supreme state, Janmalabha Parah Pumsam, Ante Narayana Smritihi. All this is for only one purpose, Hey Parikshit, so that one can contemplate on Narayana at the time of death. No wonder Adi Shankara says, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhaja Mudhamate. He says, whatever you learn in life, you can be the greatest of philosophers. You can be a Vedavid. Shankara himself is a Brahmajnani. He is a Mahavedanti. But what was his final advice? Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhaja Mudhamate. Ante Narayana Smritihi. So Parikshit gets total clarity, and now Parikshit is extremely happy that Śukha Brahma has visited, and his curse is now turning into a blessing. Parikshit now continues to ask a series of questions, and it is in response to those questions of Parikshit that Śukha gives his detailed answers, and this samvada between Śukha and Parikshit is what is celebrated as Srimad Bhagavatam. 7 days, 7 nights, completely immersed in Krishna Katha. All the rishis all around, all the Mahatmas, including Parikshit, were totally immersed at Śukha Brahma was sharing quintessential wisdom, and he was sharing Krishna Katha as was instructed to him by his father Vedavyasa. And before beginning Krishna Katha, Śukha comes up with a glorious stuti, and this is what we celebrate as Śukha stuti. As we are concluding our yatra, Vishalasya Vibhutayaha Visishta Sandarshana Yatra, it is very appropriate to conclude the yatra with a glorious prayer expressing gratitude, and we are blessed that we are here relishing Shukha's prayers. And Shukha, a very short prayer where Shukha captures the very essence of how we need to pray. Therefore, Śukha stuti is very, very simple stuti. Unlike other stutis, Śukha stuti is very simple. Even philosophically, he uses simple words and he is straight in conveying the message to us. And in that process, we also learn how to practice praying to Bhagavan so that yam yam vapi sparan bhavam hyajatyante kalevaram tam tameva iti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavitaha. As we continue to contemplate and pray to Krishna throughout our life, when the time comes to exit and when we are ready to take the next vehicle will be a spiritual body which will enable us to be with Krishna, serving him and experiencing Brahmananda. Namah parasmai purushaya bhuyase sat udbhavasthana nirodha leelaya grihita shakti tritayaya dehinam antarbhavaya anupalakshavartmane. Shukha starts by celebrating the Paratva of Krishna, of Narayana. We see most of the masters always start by glorifying Bhagavan's transcendental nature, his Paratva, because it is in awe of that supreme Bhagavan. It is in that awe, that sense of wonder, that bhakti will sprout and grow. So therefore, he starts by prostrating to Narayana. He says, Namah parasmai purushaya bhuyase. Parasmai purushaya, he Purushottama. He Purushottama. He calls out to Bhagavan as Purushottama. Purnadvai Purushaha. The Purna, the one who is endowed with innumerable auspicious qualities. One who is endowed with the guna of Kalyana Gunakaratva. Purnadvai Purushaha. Sayat Purvosmad, Sarvasmad, Papmana Aushad, Tat Purushasya Purushatvam. Sayat Purvosmad, the Supreme Purusha, Parasmai Purusha, is the one who is at the very beginning. Sayat Purvosmad, he is Akhila Karana, he is Jagat Karana, he is Nishkarana, therefore he is Adbhuta Karana. Sayat Purvosmad, Sarvasmad Papmana Aushad, Tat Purushasya Purushatvam. Sarvasmad Papmana Aushad. He is the only one who can eradicate all our Papa Karmas. Therefore, Purusha is one who is endowed with Papa Vinashakatvam. Purusha is one who is endowed with Jagat Karanatvam. Puhu Puraha Avishat Tat Purushasya Purushatvam. Puhu Puraha Avishat. The one who pervades and permeates is Purusha. He, therefore, is endowed with the guna of Antaryamitvam, Antaratmatvam. Purusanoti iti Purushaha. Purusanoti, the one who keeps giving. He is the Supreme Purusha, the Purushottama, who keeps giving in abundance. He keeps giving whether we ask or we don't ask. He is the source of all abundance, and therefore he is Purushaha, one who keeps going all the time. Namah parasmai purushaya bhuyase. Therefore Shukha says, prostrations to you, he Purushottama, he Narayana, sat udbhavasthana nirodha leelaya. The Trividha Karana. He is Trividha Karana. He is the Karana for the origination, Karana for cessation, Karana for sustenance, Shrishti, Sthiti, Laya, threefold. He is also the threefold cause. He is also the threefold cause. He is the material cause. He is the instrumental cause. He is also the one who, he is the one, Upadhana Karana, Sahakari Karana, Nimitta Karana. Unlike any causes in the material world, If a potter is making a pot, the cause of the pot, the material cause is different, the maker is different. The material causes clay, the maker is the potter. The instrument that is used to make is different. But in the case of this universe, Bhagavan is Trivida Karana, Upadhana Karana, Sahakari Karana, Nimitta Karana, all three in one. Namah Parasmai Purushaya Bhuyase Sat Udbhavasthana Nirodha Leelaya Grihita Shakti Tritayaya Dehinam Trivida Karana Antarbhavaya Anupalakshavatmane. Shuka also adds Antarbhavaya Anupalakshavatmane. You are inconceivable to our mundane senses, hey Bhagavan, and you are not inconceivable. Your ways are also not inconceivable. Because the moment we start contemplating on Bhagavan's Paratva, we are also scared. That transcendental Lord can easily accessible to me. How do I even grasp him with my limited faculties? And therefore, immediately in the next shloka, Shukha starts celebrating his Saulabya. Bhuyo namas sadvrijinachide asatam asambhavaya akhila sattva murtaye pumsam punaha paramahamsya ashrame yavastitanam anumrugyadashyase. From Paratva, he leads to Saulabya. And he also celebrates Bhagavan's Avatara Rahasya. Bhuyo Namaha. First he said Namaha. Now he says Bhuyo Namaha. First prostration say Bhagavan. Now prostrations again and again hey Bhagavan. Why? You are the one who is transcendent, but at the same time Akhila Sattva Murtaye. You have such a divine form with which I can easily grasp you, with which I can easily contemplate you. And not only that, you not only have a divine form in Vaikuntha, you also come down, take avataras, and through those divine forms, you enable us to easily worship you, easily connect with you. Bhuyo namaha sat vrijinachide. Sat vrijinachide. You are the one who gives freedom to all the Sat Purushas. Krishna in the Gita talking about Avatara Rahasyas, Yada Yada Hidharmasya Glanir Bhavati Bharata Abhyudhanam Madharmasya Tadatmanam Sajamyaham Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Chadushkritam Paritranaya Sadhunam Sat Vrijinachide. You are the one who liberates all the Sat Purushas, all the good from all kinds of distress, including the distress of samsara. Sat Vrijinachide Asatam Asambhavaya. This is where Shuka slightly differs. Asat, he does not say. Krishna is very categorical and straightforward. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya dushkritam, he says. Dushkritam vinashaya, straight away. Shuka Brahma, he says, it is not vinasha. Don't be worried. Because vinasha means this total destruction. He says, it is destruction of not the people, destruction of the path of adharma, he says. He says, asatam asambhavaya. So that even those who are not pious, they are given an opportunity to transform. The path, by destroying the path, Bhagavan ensures that they are given one more opportunity to take rebirth and reform. Reform, transform, perform. That's the slogan. Akhila Sattva Murtaye. Akhila Sattva Murtaye. The one who has a Divyamangala Vigraha that is so very magnetic, mesmerizing. Pumsam Punaha. Pumsam Punaha Paramahamsya Ashrame. Those who have already reached an exalted state. Yoginam api sarvesham madgatenantaratmana shraddhavan vajate yomam tame yukta samomataha. All the one who are engaged. Krishna says, of all the yogis, K Arjuna, one who practices bhakti yoga is the one who is dear to me. He is the one who is superior of all the yogas. He says, Paramahamsya ashrame. To those who are practicing bhakti yoga, anumrugyadashyase. To those, you are the one who bestow the ultimate reward of moksha. You are the anumrugyadashyase. You not only give us all that we need in this very life, you also deliver us our ultimate destination. Such is your compassion. Bhuyo namaha, he says. And then he goes on and he contemplates on the various ways and means of how to connect with Krishna. Shukha says, Yat kirtanam, yat smaranam, yadikshanam, yat vandanam, yat shravanam, yadarkanam, lokasya sadhyaha vidunodi kalmasam, tasmai shubhadrashravase namo namaha, tasmai shubhadrashravase namo namaha. Yat kirtanam, he Bhagavan, yat kirtanam. The more we sing your glories, we seem to be purified, we seem to be cleansed. Contemplating Krishna is purifying, is elevating, is satisfying. Yat kirtanam, yat smaranam. The more we reflect on you, we seem to enjoy the bliss. Yadikshanam. Your Divya Mangala Vigraha is so very mesmerizing. The moment we have the eye to see those lotus eyes, we don't need anything else in this world. Brahmananda is right here in Bhuloka. Yadikshanam, yad vandanam. The moment we see that glorious form, and automatically we are drawn magnetically, just like how a bee is drawn to a lotus flower laden with honey, we are drawn towards those Divya Pada, SriPada, Yad Bandhanam. We immediately prostrate, Yad Shravanam, Yad Arhanam, and doing Shravana and worshipping you, Lokasya Sadhyaha Vidhunoti Kalmasham. By doing all this, Vidhunoti Kalmasham, we get completely purified. The more Krishna enters our mind, the more cleansing process that happens. We get purified and we get elevated. Purification, elevation happens at the same time. So we keep taking this analogy of samsara being an ocean. If we are lost in an ocean and being tossed around here and there, we may see a calm spot somewhere far away, and we decide that that calm spot is where we need to spend our time. But it is just a matter of time that we will continue to be tossed around wherever spot we choose in the ocean. That is the nature of the ocean. We need to be pulled upwards so that we can avoid being tossed around in the ocean. Same is the case with samsara. Finding material solutions is only temporary. Our consciousness needs to be raised, needs to be pulled upwards towards Krishna, so that with that elevation, we can avoid getting tossed around in the whirlpool of samsara. Also, Krishna's smarana is so very satisfying. In this world, we have things that are attractive, but not really loving. We can have things that are loving, may not be attractive. Krishna is the one who is supremely attractive and supremely loving. And therefore, the more we reflect on Krishna, the more satisfying it is. Tasmai Shubhadrashravase namo namaha. Gratification and purification can happen simultaneously only when there is Krishna dhyana. Any other dhyana can may be gratifying, may not be purifying. Krishna dhyana gratifies our senses as well and purifies our indriyas and our manas. Therefore, Shuka says, Tasmai Shubhadrashravase. Shukha calls Krishna Shubhadrashravase. You are glorious and auspicious at the same time, hey Krishna. Subhadrashravase namo namaha. Vichakshanaya charanopasadanat sangam yudasya ubhayataha antaratmanaha. Vindantihi brahmagatim gataklamaha. Tasmai Subhadrashravase namo namaha. Shukha cannot stop prostrating to Krishna. Once is not enough. Twice is not enough. No. We need a lifetime to keep prostrating to Krishna. Namo namaha, namo namaha. Vichakshanaya charanopasadanat. Hey Krishna, Vichakshanaya charanopasadanat. It is only through holding your charana-ravinda, yudasya ubhayataha antaratmanaha. Ubhayataha, all our present and future dangers are completely taken care of by just holding to your SripAda. Vindantihi brahmagatim gataklamaha. Tasmai Subhadrashravase. Brahmagati. We do not need to worry about doing Ashtanga Yoga. We do not need to worry about any major practices. We may sometimes be very interested that maybe we should approach somebody who can teach us Kundalini Yoga. There are various advertisements which are done. All these are applicable for yugas before Kali Yuga. Today there are very few who are practitioners of Ashtanga Yoga, and therefore doing Ashtanga Yoga is beyond our limited faculties. Shukha, right, way back, gives us the means. He says, Vichakshana yat charanopasadana. Just holding on to his Padaravinda is more than enough. There is nothing else to do. His padas will take us wherever we need to go. Tasmai subhadrashavase namo namaha. Tapasvino dhanapara yashasvino manasvino mantravidas sumangala. Kshemam na vindati vinayadarpanam. Tasmai subhadrashavase namo namaha. Shukha talks about on behalf of all of us. Kshemam na vindati vinayadarpanam. Kshemam na vindati. Now how do we keep working and worshipping Krishna at the same time all throughout? He says, tapasvinaha, dhanapara yashasvinaha, manasvinaha, mantravidas sumangalaha. Tapasvis, those who engage in austerities, severe austerities. Dhanapara yashasvinaha, dhanapara, those who engage in doing all kinds of dana, who continue to keep giving and giving and giving. Yashasvinaha, those who attain fame because of doing satkarya. Manasvinaha, those who are thinkers, who contemplate, philosophers, who engage in the study of philosophy, who dive deep into philosophy to cull out gems of wisdom. Mantravidaha, those who perform rituals that are ordained in the Shastras, in the Vedas. Mantravidaha. Sumangalaha, those who perform daily rites, all the karmas, and who perform all kinds of auspicious activities. All of them, he says, Kshemam na vindati vidaya arpanam. All they do only one thing. Underlying all these activities, there is only one foundational activity. Kshemam na vindati vina yad arpanam. Offering whatever they do, unless they offer whatever they do to you, all of that will go to waste, hey Krishna. So therefore, it does not matter what work we do. It matters how we do. Work is worship, is said. Partially true. Work must become worship. And how will work become worship? When we infuse beautifulness, when we infuse detachment, when we infuse devotion. 3 Ds. Beautifulness, detachment, devotion. Beautifulness. Doing work for Loka Sangraha. Loka Sangrahamevapi Sampashyan Kartumarhasi, Krishna says. Duty has to be done because of Loka Sangraha. Not for our sake, for the sake of order in society. That is duty. Beautifulness. Detachment. Work must be done with detachment. When we do work for the sake of results alone, we start worshipping our results. Instead of worshipping results, we must worship the result giver. Detachment is nothing but a small shift in our worship. Detachment is all about stopping to worship results and start worshipping the result giver. Devotion. Infusing devotion, bhakti in the work that we do. Every work that we do becomes a solitary struggle if we do not invite Krishna to partner with us. It is not easy to manage our mind on our own. Whatever work that we do, it is like taking the analogy of a patient seriously ill who has read few books on medicine and he says, I will cure myself. Now, I have seen many prescriptions. I know what to take. In spite of all the efforts are not going to be fruitful. A bhakta, on the other hand, is like a patient who surrenders to a doctor and knows that doctor knows best what is for me and takes the treatment as prescribed by the doctor. Bhakti transforms our solitary struggle into a cooperative conquest of the mind. On our own, we can never conquer the mind. We can try, we can try, we will keep trying. Only when we turn towards Krishna and call out for help, translate our solitary struggle into a cooperative conquest, we cannot. Infusing bhakti in the work. Therefore, when people ask, Ante Narayana Smritihi, then Narayana Smriti, even while life and living, isn't there time for it at a later stage? Isn't that something which will be coming as an obstacle in the way of us performing mundane material activities? Not really. The more we bring Krishna into our lives, the more effective our life and living will be, and our actions will be a lot more successful, because now we have the Supreme working with us and working through us. And when Krishna starts to work through us, this is what Krishna keeps saying, Hey Arjuna, nimitta matram bhava. It is not you or even your arrow that is doing all this destruction here. Neither you nor your arrow, it is me. And thus, when we let Krishna work through us, the only thing that we need to do is let Krishna work through us. So it's like for electricity to pass through, the resistance in the material has to come down. Greater the resistance, lesser the electricity will pass. So we all have great resistance to enter Krishna coming in. The electricity of Krishna which will electrify our very existence. That resistance can only come down by infusing bhakti, which is essentially, this resistance is nothing but all the dirt, the papa karma that we have accumulated. So here Shukha says, Tapasvino, Danapara, Yashasvino, Manasvino, Mantravidah, Sumangala, Kshemam Navindati Vinaya Darpanam, Tasmai Subhadrashavase Namo Namaha. Tasmai Subhadrashavase Namo Namaha. Shriyapatir, Yajnapatir, Pajapatir, Dhiyampatir, Lokapatir, Dharapatir, Patir Gatis Chandaka Vrishtis Satpatam, Prasidatam me Bhagavan Satam Patihi. The concluding Shloka of Śukha stuti, Shuka takes us to a crescendo. He says, Shriyapatir, Yajnapatir, Prajapatir, Dhiyampatir, Danapatir, Dharapatir, Patir Gatis Chandaka Vrishtis Satpatam, Prasidatam me Bhagavan Satam Patihi. Chandaka Vrishtis Satpatam. Krishna is from the lineage of the Satpatas. Chandaka Vrishti Satpata, Vrishti Vamsa Satpata lineage. So hey Krishna, he says, you are Shriyapatihi. You are Narayana who has come down to us. Shriyapatihi. You are Yajnapati. You are Yajnapati. You and you alone are the bestower of all kinds of rewards. Yajna is not only the yajna that we, the Vedika yajna here. Every work that we do, when we do as yajna, then the rewards that come are bestowed by Krishna alone. Dharmartha Kama Moksha also are bestowed by Krishna alone. Sarvadeva Namaskaram Keshavam Pratigachati. Acharyas say. Yajnapatihi, Prajapatihi. You are the Prajapati, you are the Pati of all the Praja, of all the Lokas. Dhiyampati, Dhiyampati, you are the one who is the Pati of intelligence. Our intelligence is not our intelligence. Our intelligence is a gift from Krishna. Whenever we are able to understand anything, we need to immediately contemplate and thank Krishna then and there. We all go through this. There are times when we easily understand. There are times when we do not understand. There are times when our intellect is working very efficiently. There are times when it doesn't work. But this faculty that is given to us is because of Krishna Kripa. So anytime and every time we experience something happiness, we know it is because Krishna is bestowing us to us. Then and there, if we thank him, that experience becomes even more richer. Dhiyampatir Lokapatir. You are the one who governs. We need to necessarily understand that the laws of nature, be it physical or spiritual, cannot be broken. The Lokapati has ensured that there are physical laws and there are spiritual laws. We know that we cannot break physical laws because we will be punished immediately. Jump from a height, the leg gets broken. The action and the consequence immediately are there. But we take spiritual laws for granted, knowing that I don't know when this result is going to come. We will see there. Right now, let me engage. But we cannot escape spiritual laws too. The Lokapati has ensured that there are laws that govern this Loka, and this is an orderly Loka. Everything is in an order. There is nothing random. There is no chaos. We may see that everything may seem to be chaotic, but underlying all randomness and chaos, there is an order. There is a wonderful design, because the designer is full of wonders. Therefore, the designer's design has to be wonderful. Lokapatir, Dharapatir. Dharapati, he is the pati of this Dharani, because repeatedly he takes avatars for our sake. Even though Krishna says Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Dushkritam, Dharma Samsthapanadhaya Sambhavami Yuge Yuge. The Dharma Samsthapana can be understood in many ways. Establishing Dharma is essentially means protecting us. Dharma Samsthapana is establishing, restoring order, is Dharma Samsthapana. Krishna's Dharma is to protect us. Dharma Samsthapanadhaya. In order to carry out his duties, he repeatedly keeps coming down to protect us. Therefore, Dharapati, you are our sole protector. Patirgatis Chandaka Vrishti Satpatab. Hey Krishna, Prasidatam me Bhagavan Satam Patihi. Shyaf Patir, Yajna Patir, Prajapatir, Dhyam Patir, Lokapatir, Dharapatir, Patirgatis Chandaka Vrishti Satpatam, Prasidatam me Bhagavan Satam Patihi. Thus, Shukha begins his conversation with Parikshit by glorifying Narayana, and enables Parikshit to soak into Krishna Dhyana, which becomes the foundation for the conversation that ensues further. Because the conversation that ensues is very, very profound in nature, highly philosophical. We may all think Bhagavatam is only Katha. The Bhagavatam Katha we celebrate. But amidst Kathas, there is profound philosophy, and it is in that philosophy the Vedas and the Vedanta are packaged for us to relish, so that we not only enjoy the rasa of Bhagavata, which is Krishna's love, at the same time we also gain the wisdom of Vedanta. And this rasa is being given not through somebody ordinary, it is being given through Śukha. Śukha many times is represented as a parrot. And we all know that a fruit that is plucked and tasted by a parrot is definitely more tastier than any other fruit. Now we see a mango tree laden with fresh, juicy mangoes. And then we are about to pluck a mango and taste and relish it. The moment we see a mango which is plucked by a parrot, we know that is the chosen one, the tastiest and sweetest of all the mangoes. Similarly, Nigamakalpataror Galitam Palam Shukamukat Amrtadrava Samyutam Pivata Bhagavatam Samalayam Uhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavukaha. May we continue to drink the rasa of Bhagavata as we journey on this glorious path. Being here is a great blessing, and let us take this opportunity. As Shukha prostrated multiple times to Narayana, let us prostrate multiple times to Shukha Brahma. Bhuyo Namaha, Bhuyo Namaha, Bhuyo Namaha, Namon Namaha, Namon Namaha. Hey Shukha Brahman, Namon Namaha, Namon Namaha. Prostrating to Shukha, prostrating to Parikshit, and our prostrations to our Veda Vyasa. Vyasaya Vishnurupaya, Vyasarupaya Vishnave, Namo Vai Brahmanidaye, Vasishtaya, Namo Namaha. Sarvam SriKrishna Arpanamastu.